Hi, this is CMatusiewicz, Environmental Science 106, Section 050. Today we're going to be talking about the American toad, a little bit about its life history as well as its characteristics and appearance, and how this organism functions at Oakden.
For starters, the American toad's scientific name is Anaxurus americanus. In Greek, anax means leader chief and urus means tail. Its original name in Latin was Bufo americanus. The Anaxurus americanus toads have thick, dry, bumpy, brownish, grayish kind of color skin with white bellies. You can see that a little bit in this photo over here. Their skins can change colors actually based on temperature, humidity, and their stress level. And they can change anywhere from a yellowish and brown to black. They have short, stumpy little legs. They hop and walk on the ground. And if you can see in the photo, their back hind legs, they have like a web-like fixing to them, and they have 5 toes. On their front legs, they're much wider apart, and they have 4 toes. Their pupils, you can see their pupils, they're oval shaped with some black and some gold circling around them. And the difference between the male and the female toad is the males have a darker throat, either kind of black or brown, and the females have a lighter coat. You can see from the photo over there the lighter coat on the female toad on the bottom. A female toad is much larger, and again, you can see from this photo where the two are mating and how much bigger that female toad is from the male toad on top. The only difference that you'll find too is that males are the only ones that call for mates. So if you see one singing, you know that it's definitely a male. The sound that you're hearing now is male toads calling and singing for the female toads. The female toads are extremely attracted to these sounds, and they will follow the sound and go near to where the male is calling at. Not always is the female attracted to the male calling. It's based on their pitch, and if it doesn't appeal to her, she's going to move on to the next one. You'll see it's kind of interesting how big their throats get as they're making their calling, and then they settle down a little bit and then they call back, and you see how powerful their call is with the vibrations in the water, and the vibrations in the water is what helps to attract the females to the male as well. The males also have a second call. It's called the release call, when another male jumps on its back and it doesn't want it there. It's the chirping sound that you're hearing now. The breeding season for the American toad is when the weather starts warming up in the springtime during the months of March and April, and it can actually extend into the summer months all the way through the month of July. In Illinois, it's been seen sometimes to happen as early as the month of February. It all depends on how warm the weather is outside. During the beginning of the breeding process, uh, numerous amount of toads, male and female, will gather towards ponds and shallow streamy flows of water, and the male toads will begin calling for the female toads. Eventually, the two will latch together, and the male toads hold on to the female toads very tightly so she can't be released. This is also known as the amplexus moment. The female toads will begin to lay two long strands of eggs in jelly strings, which come out side by side from each other. Um, Sometimes this has been seen where the eggs are forming in globs versus coming out side by side. However, at this time, as she's releasing the eggs, the male will release sperm to begin to fertilize the eggs. The eggs then, dependent on how warm the weather is, could take anywhere from a few days up to a week, or to even sometimes into 2 weeks to hatch into a tadpole. The warmer the weather is, the sooner the eggs will mature, and then the tadpole will form. As the tadpole begins to mature, and it will grow anywhere from 40 to 70 days. At this time, it begins to form the lungs, and then it forms the behind legs, and then it will form the front legs, and then the tail begins to shorten, and then from anywhere between the month of June to August, this little tadpole will become an adult frog, where it will, or should I say, adult toad. It will then walk onto the land. It'll come from the water into the land, where it then stays. Typically, it could take anywhere from 2 to 3 years for the adult toad to mature to sexual maturity. And they can grow. The female toads are larger than the male toads, and they can grow up to a full-size adult to 75 millimeters. So it's kind of interesting. The life cycle of the toad begins in the water, moves to the land, and then returns to the water again for the breeding season. Toads are known to prey on flying insects such as flies, moths, mosquitoes, bees, wasps, beetles, locusts, as well as grasshoppers, moths, caterpillar, spider, worms, grubs, slugs, snails. They actually can eat about 1,000, if not more, insects in a day, and by sticking out their long, sticky tongue and really quick and grabbing these things. They can also be food for other animals in the area. So some of the predators that are fond of the adult toads are gardener snakes, hognose snakes, hawks, herons, and some raccoons. Fish will eat the tadpoles. Um, However, the toad has a defense mechanism to deter predators away from it by camouflaging itself so that it blends in with its surroundings. It will play dead if a predator is coming near, and it'll remain very still until it's gone. It will also hide in water or along grasses. And another mechanism that the toad has is it releases a poisonous substance, so like a milky white substance from the glands behind its eyes, and this can make animals sick if they absorb it in their system. So if you look at this page, there is actually a food web amongst these insects and the predators that prey on the toad, and the food that the toads prey on themselves. And so you'll see there's an interconnection where some of them will eat the same type of species. The Oakton campus is the perfect habitat for the American toad. It has various water areas such as the Toad Pond, the Des Plaines River, the Ceramics Pond, and even Lake Oakton, where the toads will flock to during breeding season. They're nocturnal, which means they prefer the nighttime where they are more active. During the daytime, they typically go places where they can be covered, such as under logs, rocks, and trees. As we've experienced when moving logs during the building of the salamander pond, we know that there's plenty of coverage and trees and branches and tall grasses and milkweed during the summer months, which will provide enough coverage for this organism. If there's an overcasted day, you may see the frogs that may be wandering around during the daytime. They're most active during the warmer weather from typically March, April through the month of November. Um, and in the winter months, they don't like the cold, so they will hibernate. Either they'll stay in their local area and hibernate in burrows, or they will travel elsewhere.